Can a rivalry so heated it defined an entire weight class suddenly transform into mutual respect? And is it really possible that a UFC champion might test his mettle against one of boxing's most dangerous heavyweights? These questions capture just a fraction of the current madness in MMA, where today's bitter enemies can become tomorrow's unlikely allies, and where outrageous callouts spark debates that echo across social media. Over the next few moments, let's explore the jaw-dropping stories behind Dominic Cruz and TJ Dillashaw's newfound camaraderie, Alex Pereira's flirtation with a boxing match against Pereira-Usyk, and a host of other matchups and rumors that have fight fans sitting on the edge of their seats. Dominic Cruz and TJ Dillashaw once symbolized everything a grudge match in MMA could be. Leading up to their 2016 bout, insults flew left and right, and fans relished every scathing press conference. Even after Cruz took a narrow split decision, the tension lingered. It felt like these two were destined to stay enemies forever, but life in MMA moves in unpredictable ways. Cruz, battered by repeated shoulder dislocations, stepped away from the sport he once ruled. Then came the unthinkable. Dillashaw reached out with genuine concern, sending Cruz details for a shoulder specialist. It was a simple gesture that spoke volumes. Gone was the vitriol of press conferences past, replaced by understanding that both men had walked a similar road of injuries. Cruz later admitted he was shocked TJ even contacted him, considering all they'd been through. But maybe that's the beauty of MMA. Even the fiercest grudges can fade when fighters recognize how fragile their careers can be.
He's just a talker, man. You know, he's just gonna try to overanalyze this because I don't need to.
Why?
Because I don't want to.
I think you're scared to talk because you don't want to say what you're gonna do because you're scared to eat your words.
All right, man. All right, man. I'm done talking to you.
You can't be done talking to me. You're right here facing me, dummy.
Unfortunately, I can't even do this.
Really?
Holy. And it doesn't hurt. It just doesn't work.
Just stuck.
And what happened next took everyone by surprise. Cruz publicly thanked Dillashaw, noting how they'd shared a champion's burden of pressure, surgeries, and setbacks. Neither man expects they'll be hanging out on weekends anytime soon, but the moment of respect proved that sometimes the toughest opponent is the wear and tear that comes with years of competition. And who would have guessed it would unite these two? If there's one development that could rock both the MMA and boxing worlds, it's the prospect of Alex Pereira climbing into the ring against Pereira-Usyk. You heard that right. Usyk, one of boxing's most accomplished heavyweights, name-dropped Pereira as a potential retirement fight. Typically, such a mention might be dismissed as harmless talk. But when a towering figure like Pereira responds with genuine interest, fans take notice. Pereira has never been shy about seeking new challenges. After all, he transitioned from kickboxing glory to carve out a place among the UFC's elite, showcasing his striking prowess and willingness to adapt. Facing Usyk, however, would take that boldness to new heights. Literally. Usyk is known for surgical precision, mobility, and the kind of ring IQ that dismantles even the hardest hitters. Yet Pereira seems unfazed, pointing out that the UFC has grown more open to co-promotional possibilities, especially if the reward is big enough to make heads turn. People ask, would Dana White really let one of his champions risk it all in a boxing ring? The UFC, after the Mayweather-McGregor spectacle, understands the massive paydays and global attention these crossovers can draw. It's not a guarantee, of course, but when both sides are publicly acknowledging each other, the possibility no longer feels like pure fantasy. Could Pereira, known for flattening opponents with savage leg kicks and monstrous hands, find a path to dethrone an elite heavyweight boxer under Queensberry rules? Skeptics abound, but if this fight happens, it would be a monumental event that captures the imagination of fans across combat sports. While some dream of cross-sport mega fights, others are focused on concrete matchups right around the corner.
It's who win next fight in 22 February. But next maybe show fight with Alex Pereira. Maybe. Why not? Alex wanna.
For instance, Miesha Tate's scheduled clash with Jana Santos at an upcoming UFC fight night. Tate, once the queen of the bantamweights, has shown glimpses of her old form since returning from a lengthy hiatus. Santos, on the other hand, is hungry to climb the ranks and sees Tate's name recognition as a chance to make a statement. Shifting our gaze elsewhere, the GFL aims to rekindle an old rivalry that once electrified fans. Urijah Faber versus Renan Barão. Their first two encounters ended in frustration for Faber, a unanimous decision loss, followed by a crushing first-round TKO. But that was years ago, when Barão's star soared high. Since then, Barão has fallen into a steep losing streak, 6 in a row, that few could have predicted back when he seemed unstoppable. Meanwhile, Faber has been inactive since 2019. This trilogy fight, with both men at very different points in their careers, has fans divided. Is Faber setting himself up for another letdown, or will he capitalize on Barão's downturn to rewrite his story? Either way, the GFL is banking on nostalgia and the undying appeal of unfinished business. But that wasn't the whole story. More battles, bigger comebacks, and new faces are ready to emerge. Sometimes it's the undercard bouts that lead to the most electrifying upsets, and no one wants to miss the next breakout star.
Listen to that. How does that make you feel? It makes me feel amazing. Love fighting for Sacramento. Props to Ricky Simone. That kid is going to be a terror in this weight class. He has the right mentality, but he's just not there yet. It takes time, baby. Experience.
Belal Muhammad isn't shy about voicing bold takes, and his latest remarks have ramped up the tension in the UFC. He claims he'd make quick work of both Sean Strickland and Dricus Du Plessis, DDP, if he decided to move up to middleweight. To plenty of onlookers, that sounds like pure hubris, especially given the kind of power top-tier 185ers pack. But Belal insists that his wrestling-heavy style would neutralize larger opponents, and that he's been underestimated before. Not everyone is convinced. Joaquin Buckley, who has fought in both the welterweight and middleweight divisions, didn't hold back. He pointed out that at 185, each strike carries more knockout potential, and there's no guarantee Belal's takedowns would be effective against someone like DDP, who's proven he can handle powerful grapplers. In a characteristic display of confidence, Du Plessis joined the conversation, essentially laughing off Belal's challenge, saying he'd simply step on his head to end the fight. The most intriguing part, Belal seems completely unruffled, firing back on social media to argue that he's capable of more than fans realize. Could we see him actually go through with this risky plan, or is he fanning the flames to keep himself in the headlines? Time will tell. For now, the spotlight is squarely on him, like it or not.
Belal Muhammad talking about he wants to move up. He could be double champ. Belal, I'm gonna just warn you right now. You don't have the tools nor the weapons to beat a person like Dricus. You're not gonna be able to take Buddy down. I'm just saying, I'm just being honest with you, bro. Nor will you be able to knock him out with them pillow hands. And no matter how much you think that I can see all the holes in this game, even if you beating up Dricus, like I said before, he's just gonna keep coming and coming and coming, and he ain't gonna stop.
There's no question Justin Gaethje's fights are must-watch events, featuring high-octane offense and a willingness to take risks that few fighters can match. But his recent knockout loss to Max Holloway reignited questions. Is Gaethje slipping, or was it just an off night? Dan Hooker offers a third perspective. He believes Gaethje was a victim of circumstance, a banana peel scenario where a broken nose and multiple eye pokes made it impossible for Gaethje to deliver a typical performance. Hooker argues that if Gaethje and Holloway fought 10 times, they'd likely split wins right down the middle. The key factor, Hooker insists, is that injuries can flip the script in an otherwise competitive match. Fans who only glance at the highlight reel might assume Holloway outclassed Gaethje from start to finish, but Hooker sees a more nuanced reality. As someone who's tangled with top-tier fighters, Hooker suggests Gaethje is still a serious threat to anyone in his path, and what happened next would shock everyone. Because Gaethje, known for his resiliency, is the type of fighter who can bounce back with a performance that leaves doubters speechless. His road forward might still involve formidable opponents, and after hearing Hooker's breakdown, the hype around Gaethje's next fight is only growing stronger.
You have to account for the best version. That's the only way that you can approach it. I feel like going back and watching that fight, I feel like it was a bit of a banana peel. I feel like he was doing. It was a very competitive fight. I think maybe even Justin was getting the better of it till spinning back kick lands on his nose. Like you throw that bloody thing 1,000 times, it doesn't land
Yeah,
square
for
on
real.
the nose, and send your left. Like, and you know what it's like when you get your nose shattered in the first round. Like you can't breathe, you can't see.
Gregory RoboCop Rodriguez is no stranger to tough battles, but his loss to Jared Cannonier came with an unexpected twist. After the fight, Rodriguez revealed he faced severe issues rehydrating post-weight cut, indicating his body just wouldn't bounce back in time. Weight cutting remains one of MMA's thorniest issues. While many fighters master the process, others struggle in ways that can directly impact performance. Rodriguez now joins the conversation about whether the sport needs new standards or additional weight classes to reduce these brutal cuts. In the meantime, Chael Sonnen stirred the pot by insisting Alex Pereira won't linger at light heavyweight for long, no matter how his next fight pans out. Sonnen claims that if Pereira wins, he'll look for an even bigger challenge, and if he loses, he'll try his luck in the heavyweight division. It's not the first time Sonnen's predictions have raised eyebrows, but considering how quickly Pereira moved up from 185 after a single loss, it's not impossible. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson also made waves, though in a different capacity. BKFC offered him an opportunity to try bare-knuckle fighting, but Thompson flatly rejected it. Known for his pinpoint karate style and lethal kicks, Thompson sees little appeal in a format that removes the kicks and gloves he's mastered. The mere thought of him fighting without the distance management that kicks provide seems foreign to his game plan.
One thing, man, because bare knuckle came to Greenville, South Carolina, and I went to it, and I think the owner was like, "Yo, Wonderboy, when is your contract up with UFC?" I'm like, "Dude, don't even. I'm not Mike Perry, bro. I ain't got it. I ain't got it, dude."
And on the horizon is Khamzat Chimaev's possible move to face Dricus Du Plessis. Training footage of Chimaev has been making the rounds, hinting he's zeroing in on a big fight next. Whether it's DDP or another contender, Chimaev's presence always draws attention, especially when talk arises of who truly deserves the next shot at UFC gold. Sean Strickland is never one to hold his tongue, and neither is his coach Eric Nicksick. After Strickland's loss to Dricus Du Plessis, Nicksick publicly questioned Strickland's drive and suggested that perhaps Sean needed to revisit his commitment to MMA. Strickland's response? He removed Nicksick from his corner, labeling him an influencer for airing such critiques on a podcast instead of handling it privately. The dust-up raises a bigger question. Where's the line between tough love from a coach and public shaming? Nicksick insists he intended to motivate Strickland, but Strickland clearly felt betrayed by the approach. Fights in this sport aren't limited to the cage. They can also happen in the locker room, the gym, and especially on social media. And while most fighter-coach disputes quietly sort themselves out, this one's in the spotlight for all to see.
Because I like Eric. He's a friend of mine, and he's going to continue to be a friend of mine. Will he probably be in my corner? Probably not. The only reason why I'm making this video is because Eric had to go do a podcast and become an influencer, so now I gotta kind of explain myself.
From bitter enemies sharing medical advice to a possible cross-sport mega fight that could rock boxing and MMA alike, these stories prove that nothing is off limits in the fight world. Dominic, Cruz, and TJ Dillashaw showed us how fast heated rivalries can cool when real-life struggles take center stage. Alex Pereira may throw down the gauntlet to Pereira-Usyk in a spectacle that would captivate multiple fan bases. Meanwhile, Belal Muhammad's talk of crushing middleweights has triggered a war of words, and Dan Hooker's defense of Justin Gaethje reminds us that one defeat doesn't define a fighter's future. With ongoing controversies like weight cut dangers, coaching spats, and the potential for bigger, and sometimes stranger, challenges, MMA remains as unpredictable as ever. We can speculate all day, but the next bombshell often arrives when we least expect it. Which storyline will upend the sport next? Will Belal truly make waves at middleweight, or is Alex Pereira's leap into heavyweight going to be the real shocker? Stay tuned, because in MMA, every headline can shift the landscape overnight. The only certainty is that nothing stays predictable for long, and that's exactly why we can't look away.